problem.
Okay. So before we haven't. I guess are we on?
Yeah.
Oh, we're on. Okay. So what is it? You're an attorney, right?
Yes, that's what I am here. Yep.
So you're what part? Where are you at right now as we're speaking?
Florence. I'm actually walking around Florence, going back home from the office.
So how has this whole thing changed your life? What's going on?
Dramatically.
Dramatically. So tell us a little bit.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, the only stores that are open right now are drugstores and grocery stores. There's no other store open, pretty much. No, newspaper stands. Newspaper stands are still open. Everything else is pretty much shut down. Transportation is still working, although limitedly. And everything else is totally shut down, from museums to theaters to movie theaters to any sports event, anything else. And people are basically locked at home unless they have to go to work. And that in that case, they're allowed to travel from home to work and go back. The only other exception, you can go jogging if you want or take a bike ride, provided that you're totally by yourself and you don't congregate with other people. So that's our life right now.
So what happens if you have a wife? I mean, you said by yourself.
No, I have my wife at home, so I see the family at home. The family stays home.
So you're just keeping it in your circles close.
Yeah. You're not allowed to go see friends. You're not allowed to go see your parents unless they're sick or have an emergency. You basically stay in your home or travel to work if you're still working. A lot of people are working remotely. Few people are still going to work, and that's the situation. And then we'll see if this one works, because we got here, progressively. I mean, step by step. They took some steps before up north. Now they extended it to the rest of Italy. And if even this one doesn't work, they're going to close even more things. So we'll see. And I think we're going to find out in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Maybe even sooner. So are you under what they call martial law? I mean, you got to be in at a certain time every night. And what's up?
No, that is not in place yet. That's not in place. You're free to go out. You're still free to go out. You shouldn't go out unless you have a reason. So you're, strongly recommended to stay home, but you're not forbidden from going out. That would be the next step. But right now it's not happening.
So you have offices. Again, you're an attorney for what companies?
I have my own firm. It's called Serious. We do intellectual property litigation.
Okay.
And we do have a lot of business with American clients, big corporations, Americans, French, and everything. And of course, in terms of work, everything. The courts are closed down for at least a couple of months. So there's nothing to do in court right now. So of course there's not a lot of work, and I think the work will decrease as soon as this thing extends to other countries, as it seems to be doing now.
Can you say some of the clients that you work with, or is that private?
No, they're all they're usually private corporation. I don't know, in the U.S. I work for clients like Microsoft, movie industries, things of that sort. A lot of fashion houses.
What kind of fashion? What kind of fashion companies?
We represent clients like Louis Vuitton, like Gucci.
Those are good.
Chanel. Oh yeah, they're good clients. It's not a good time for them and for me, but otherwise they would be good clients. Yeah.
So this would probably be a good time to become an attorney for the necessity businesses.
Yeah, either that or bankruptcy law.
Well, I hear the government's going to be helping out with a lot of that as far as...
Right. I don't know if it's going to be enough. It looks, from an economy standpoint, it looks pretty bad. So I don't know if the help that we can get from the Italian government is going to be sufficient. Yeah. Yeah.
So what is your feeling about this whole thing? I mean, do you feel that there's something else going on besides the virus? Some people think that it's being used as a way to distract people.
No, I honestly don't believe in any of that. I mean, I wouldn't know, of course, but I don't believe in any of that. I think it's the virus. I think it's been underestimated. I think we found out a little late. I think that the main thing is like that when this thing comes out, you always have to decide and balance, the interest of health and also like not shutting down all the businesses right away. So it takes time to react. And I don't know if Italy was a little slow to react. I don't think very slow. I think we were certainly not as slow as the U.S. I think the U.S. is reacting more slowly. I think today is the first time that I see something decent reported in the papers in the U.S. So I'm actually more fearful for the U.S. once this thing takes the dimension that it has here. But, that's kind of what it is. It's very difficult to react without knowing what it is and the extent of it.
What news sources are you using?
What? I'm sorry?
What news sources do you use to get your news information? Well, as far as your information.
News information, whatever, all the main media. I mean, we have access to all the main media. I mean, all pay TV, national TV. We watch CNN regularly and international TV. And I have access to the New York Times, the Washington Post. So that's what I was referring when I read the Post today and the New York Times. It was the first time that I started seeing something, because I've been talking to some friends of mine in the U.S. up to 3-4 days ago, and they had no clue. They thought it was something like, limited to Italy that would never happen in the U.S. And my impression was that no, it will happen in the U.S. and probably it's going to be just as bad or probably even worse just because of the situation. You have to consider that health, all the references in every hospitals, everything is subsidized in Italy. So at least it's free for everyone, and that helps a lot. Being a little different in the U.S., I can foresee a little bit of a problem. And the thing, we've tested a bunch of people. So that's why we have really high numbers, because we've run a lot of tests.
So you're thinking that probably we have a lot more of it here in the United States, but we're not doing as much testing.
Well, you guys haven't done any testing. The number of testing that you've done in the U.S. compared to the population and everything is laughable. It's just laughable. So I don't think you know what you have right now. I think you'll find out soon, but I think, up until you start testing, I don't think you have a clue.
So let me ask you, what have you...
This thing...
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, I think this thing... the main thing, this thing is incredibly contagious. So the numbers go up very, very quickly. There are a lot of people that have it, and they don't even realize they have it because, luckily, in most cases, it feels like a bad flu and not more. So if you don't get tested, you may not think you have it. And in the meantime, you're infecting a bunch of people.
So you sound very healthy. What have you done to keep yourself healthy?
Oh, no, the minimum. Try and keep a distance from everyone. The main thing is keep a distance. Keep at least, 4 or 5 feet from any person you encounter. You wash your hands like a bunch of times a day, and you try as much as possible, which is not easy, not to touch your nose, your mouth, and your eyes. And that's pretty much all you can do.
Yeah, because probably your hands have a lot of germs. If you touch your eyes, your nose, and your mouth, you're probably going to keep spreading it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same thing. That and you can't really sanitize everything. So if you touch something that someone else has sneezed on or anything, you may get it. So that's pretty much the only thing you can do. And then again, try and stay away from. I'm not taking public transportation. I'm not going crowded places. Well, now I can't even, but even maybe a week ago when I could still go out to dinner or something, I avoided doing that.
So stay away from going out to crowded places. Maybe dinner, maybe even the gym. It's probably not even anything you probably should even.
Well, now all those things are closed, so we don't have an option. But a week ago, they were still open, and it probably would have been a smart choice to close those places down maybe a week before. I think we would be in better shape now if we had done that.
So I guess the best thing is to stay close to your family, keep your circle small, and keep yourself clean. And then how is your diet, your nutrition? What are you doing for that?
No, that I do whatever I do. I mean, I usually I work out. I tend to work out. So, it's a pain in the neck because you can't do much. But as I said, you can still go out and run or take a bike ride.
Right.
And you continue doing that. And then, if you don't go out, you tend to eat and drink more at home. That's it. So
common sense.
What? I'm sorry, you broke up.
I said you're using common sense.
Yeah, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. There's nothing more to it. There's no cure. There's nothing you can do. So you use common sense and you wait. And the main thing you really hope, not even so much that you don't get it. Of course, it would be nice not to get it. But what you hope is that if you get it, it's not going to be that bad and require hospitalization, because that's the big problem right now, that Out of the people that we have infected now, 60% of the people require they end up in a hospital, and the main problem is that if it's a bad case, you need intensive care, and just the limited number of intensive care places you have. In fact, up north, when the situation is bad, doctors already started being selective on which people to treat and which people not to treat, depending on the age, depending on the health condition, and all of that, because we don't have enough space in intensive care.
So are the ages varied, or are they mostly seniors?
No, they're mostly seniors. The vast majority are seniors. There are exceptions, but the vast majority are people that are pretty senior. Yeah.
What percentage what percentage would you say?
Well, I think people under 59, I think, is only probably the death toll is probably not even 2%, maybe less, out of all the people who died. I think the vast majority are between 70 and up. That is a good chunk of the people, and a lot of people with a pre-existing condition. But the problem is, as I was saying, so far, even bad cases, they've been able to treat them in intensive care, and with the numbers we're seeing this day, this is not going to be possible anymore.
I don't know
because we don't have.
And I wonder how much the coronavirus is being contained in hospitals, and how much of it's being spread in hospitals.
Oh yeah, that's another big thing. It's a big problem because they have to retrofit the hospitals for this and kind of separate them from, all the other problems they may have in hospitals and everything. In fact, now among the recommendation, even when you go out, you have to try and stay healthy no matter what. So avoid any sort of situation that you can end up in a car accident or things of that. If you have, just to give you an idea, an ambulance response in Milan in case of a heart attack up to a month ago was 3 minutes from the time you call them. Now it's almost an hour.
Wow.
So that's what the situation is like. So whatever happens to you, even if it's not coronavirus, it's pretty dangerous right now.
So Italy apparently, does it have a high population of seniors compared to younger people?
Yes, I think that's the main. Okay, I think the main reason for the high numbers we've shown is the fact that we've tested a lot, as I was saying before, and the fact that we have elderly people. Yeah.
So we're also hearing that there's a recovery rate that's pretty high, also, but we're not hearing about it. The media is not really talking about that.
No, they give us numbers every day. Usually, though, if you end up in the hospital, in the most serious cases, you end up in the hospital, you stay in the hospital for 3-4 weeks. So at that point, you're going to find the numbers of the recovery a little slower with respect to the one of the infected people. That's the only thing. But the recovery rate is pretty good. I mean, the mortality is a little higher, probably again for the old people that we've seen in China. I think right now we're around 5% when we were told before that it would be something around 2.5%.
Right.
Now it's more like a 5% for Italy. Yeah.
So do you think that in China and it seems like Italy is hitting its peak? Do you think China's already hit its peak?
Oh yeah, China they're definitely doing much better. I think Italy will probably have, if we're lucky, we'll probably have another couple of weeks before we reach the peak, and then after that, we should be getting better.
So if this thing
again, it depends.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. It's okay.
No. Go ahead.
I was just saying if this thing.
I was saying that.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. It's okay.
Okay. No, I was just saying that. I think the main thing is like the situation in Italy is still really, really bad up north, where, however, we have the best hospitals and all that.
Yeah.
If it spreads to the south, when the situation is not that great for hospitals and everything, that could be a bigger problem.
So, with all this that's going on, this whole thing supposedly started in China sometime in December.
No, actually, now they have evidence that it started a little bit before. I think the first reported case is probably November.
Okay.
For China.
So
when they admitted it was the beginning of January, but it was something like probably November. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what, 4 months?
Yeah.
So this thing looks like it hits a peak right about 4 months and probably lasts anywhere it could probably go in small cases up to a year.
Oh, yeah, it could go up to a year. Plus, up until we find a vaccine, even if it disappears now, it's going to come back in the fall. I mean, until we have a vaccine, like the flu.
Well, even though they have a vaccine for the flu, people still die from even with the flu shot.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it doesn't really stop people from getting the flu. I mean, it makes people maybe feel more secure.
I know you lower the